Podcast with Victor Pacheco. We got a really great show for y'all, but before we hop in, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Long Beach Comedy, which takes place at Harvelle's in downtown Long Beach, California, every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We have award-winning dancers, celebrity drop-ins. You never know who's going to be there, but I'll tell you who will be there. Me, your boy, Victor Pacheco, every single second and fourth Tuesday of the month with new material. So come and check me out. Come and check out the shows. Hope you enjoy it. Hello and welcome to Papicock Podcast with your host, Victor Pacheco. We got a really great show for y'all today. This guy, you have seen him on Hulu, Netflix, Showtime, The Tonight Show, Chelsea Lately, Comics Unleashed, Loco Comedy Slam. This man is somebody that I have respected since before I ever got on stage. So I want to give it up for a very special guest today, Mr. Darren Carter, the party starter.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. Look at this, man. This is next time I see you, I'm gonna give you one of my stickers. Look at that cool sticker. Boom, right there.
Pocket Party Podcast. There we go. That's how you start off a podcast, is promoting another podcast. So no, but you follow Darren Carter because this dude is hilarious. He's hysterical. I really have known him since even before stand-up comedy, because like I'm not trying to burn your material, but like this one time I was watching Latino stand-up comedy showcase. It was like a DVD. My brother's like obsessed with like buying comedy. This is before I started doing stand-up, so pre-2012. And so it's just like, so I'm expecting like, you know, Rodriguez and Lopez and all these Latino names, and it's just like, yeah, this next guy, he isn't Latino, but and I'm just like, and then you come out there and I'm like, okay, he said he's from Fresno, he gets a pass. And then you started talking about and I'm not burning your material, but it's just like the material that you had about like the act outs and like with the
burn
backpack.
It, man. Burn that material.
No,
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
You're okay with that? Okay, but yours is like, hey, Rooster. And it's just like you're like you're like able to like pretty much like tell all these bullies to go fuck themselves. And make fun of them while making a living. And it was like, that's so empowering, because it's like I'm anti-bullying 100%, but I'm like 100% Mexican, so I understand how these Mexicans would be dicks to you, totally unprovoked, even if you're like the sweetest heart. So I don't know, like, how did you manage to survive Fresno?
You know what? It's funny, I guess wherever you grow up, you just kind of think that's normal, or you just kind of go with your surroundings or whatever. So, I mean, especially growing up in the 70s and 80s, like, you know, this pale, redheaded, freckle-faced kid, you know, and growing up in East Fresno, and you know, back then it was like lowrider culture was a huge thing, and so it was kind of like I don't know, I kind of like looked up to a lot of those dudes. Like that was like the cool kids, you know, in my mind, were like the kid with like the Ben Davis, the Dickies, the Pendleton, like you know, like a lot of my friends and their older brothers and stuff. Like I remember a kid in 6th grade, I forget his last name. It was like Jose something, like, no, but we knew him as Joey, but I want to say Joey Barrientos, but that wasn't it. Joey Barrera, I forget. Anyways, but I remember like his family, it just tripped me out. Like as a family activity, they would go cruising, you know, like in the lowrider of the car, they'd go cruising.
Yeah. No, I know what cruising is.
Yeah, my brother and sister would go cruising up and down Blackstone, and then in Fresno, people would cruise on Kings Canyon, and then there's a point where the name changes to like Ventura, which is wild. I don't know if people, I know you know what cruising is. You're a little older, but like, I wonder if you know
no, because it's just like right now. No, I know what you meant by cruising, but I didn't know that I was cruising when I was cruising until I found out, until I got pulled over for cruising. It's like, I'm like, no, because I used to go to UC Santa Cruz. And so what I like to do is like, it's like my junior year, I met up with some Mexican dudes, and I was like, you know what? Let's make all these white people uncomfortable, and let's come back during lunch, and let's, in my Honda Prelude, 1987 Prelude in 2007 or 2006, let's jam this like banda music super loud. And then eventually I got pulled over, and they're like, you can't cruise anymore. And I'm like, what the hell is cruising? And but apparently cruising is when you are driving somewhere without a destination. Pretty
Yeah,
much.
like in a looping, you're like going around like in a 2-mile radius, or just back and forth, up and down, which is crazy because like gas prices like $5, $6, $7, $8. Like, who's going cruising nowadays?
Dude, nowadays, I mean, if you got a Prius like me, your boy Vic is going fucking cruising. But it's just unless you got, but in a lowrider, no way, dude. That's too much of an investment. There's no way.
Yeah,
just,
I remember there would be like signs in Fresno, like they would say like $200, like if you're making more than like 2 U-turns or something. Like if you make a U-turn and another U-turn, $200 fine, no cruising prohibited.
Wow, yeah. Like, tell me you're anti-Mexican without saying you're anti-Mexican. I didn't even know it was cruising. I didn't know it was cruising. And then you're just
we
like,
thought we were just driving without a GPS. We're lost. We don't know where our destination is.
You keep going around in circles, the same spot. And it's just like, I was just trying to make people uncomfortable because like it was just fun and funny. Because also like everyone's like rich and I'm driving this beater ass at 1987 Honda Prelude. So it's just like one of those things. But like, I don't know. I've always considered you a gentleman though, Darren. Like even like honestly, God, I really a professional gentleman, not just a gentleman, because there's this problem and it wasn't really a problem because it was nipped in the butt very quickly. But I asked a comedy club in Northern California, where I'm originally from, in the Bay Area, to check out my set. And some of my biggest laughs came from this one part of my set that I had no idea that you did. No idea that you did, because I had seen Darren Carter on these showcases with Latinos, and I'm just like, what's this white boy there? And then this dude killed it. I even forgot that you were a white guy. Like you killed it so hard, and you were doing.
Did you ever see the Gangland bit? The Gangland bit I did.
Yeah,
that's one of those requested bits. But I'm like, I just happened to write it at a certain time, and I did it perfectly. And I think it was captured by Laugh Factory, and so it's on the And I also put it on my channel. But a lot of times I can't really. You kind of forget exactly how the words are, so I don't really do it anymore. But that was one of my favorite fun bits to do, where I would be like, I would talk about watching Gangland, and also at the time I felt really connected to that material because I really was watching Gangland, and this was back in like 2006, 2007. I don't know. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, dude.
I don't watch TV like that anymore, but I used to love how they'd be like doing these documentaries on these different gangs. And they'd be like, Gangland, tell us about your gang. And then the guy would be hiding his face with a bandana. He'd be like, we're not scared of nothing. We run the streets. Tell us about your gang, And so I would do the voices back and forth. Get the documentary guy. And like this, we run the streets. Which street do you run? The one by the mall, where the closed down Circuit City used to be. All right. I'm running out of breath. I can't breathe. Go give me a cookie and an orange juice. I'm gonna pass out. Gangland. And I'd pop up. It was so fun to do. Look at that! I lost my earbud in that one,
dude. That's how you're committed to the bit. That's
committed to the bit.
You're committed to the bit. That's we'll wait. It's fine.
There we go.
There we go. We're back.
We're back.
Yeah, we're back. No. It was funny because I was about to say, and the glasses came off. No.
They'll ask me, hey, can you do the Gangland bit? And it's longer than that, but I'll be wearing like a V-neck or like a button-down shirt, and I'm like, I know I can't do it because, the shirt will. It's like there's a lot of preparation in that. Behind the scenes, the props that comics go through.
Wait, hold on a second. For the record, was that one of your fans, audience members, or was that like a club promoter? Because I've had a club promoter tell me after a headlining set, "Hey, you didn't do fucking your wife like an elephant joke." I love that joke. How come you didn't do your fucking your wife like an elephant joke? And then I do the whole. And like, it's just like a real elephant sound. And it's just like, from my
do that again. That was cool. I didn't hear it. Do it again.
I don't know. Maybe the audio's fucked up, but it's just
it mutes every time you do it. It mutes.
I think it's too high pitched. I think it's too high pitched, but like, it really sounds like an elephant. And it's like, maybe if I hold it from.
It
Yeah,
muted
but
again.
dude, that's so funny. It's probably gonna come out perfect in the audio, and he's gonna be like, "Yeah,
know,
that
and
was
I'm
his.
gonna look
That was his nice way of saying it sucked."
No,
That was
no.
no. I'm just kidding.
What
No, but
what if the
sorry.
what if the internet won't let it go viral? Like it's so good, it's so funny, it's so amazing, but somehow the internet's like, no, let's clamp down. Don't let that noise get out there. He'll go viral.
I swear to God, that's like posting a clip of you doing stand up online. It's the funniest fucking thing that it's out there right now, and it does not get as many likes. But my controversial Black Little Mermaid snippet that I put out there is like everyone's liking, like every day I'm like, oh cool, I got new followers. Yeah, but it's based on this clip from 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I'm like, what's up with the clip I put up last week? And then I'm just like wondering, like do you ever have material where you're just like, I'm not going to say it because it's too dangerous, or it's just like, because like with me, I have material that's really dangerous. Like I tell people, if you're too coked out and you can't get a boner and you're trying to get with that special somebody, you get a Viagra, you crush that up and you snort that fucking Viagra. And I have a clip of me, and the audience is going crazy. It's like, so it's not, it's like, I'm not bullshitting. It is the audience, or at least that audience, thought it was fucking hysterical. And like, I have like footage of it. Like, and I got the subtitles and all that, and I clipped it right. And I'm just like, should I put this out there? Because somebody might die. Somebody might actually die from like, oh yeah, that fat fuck with tits, he snorted coke and did. It's like, it's just a joke. Yeah, it's just a joke. It's just,
maybe you could do a little disclaimer like, joke only a joke.
But I mean, it's just like, that's the thing. It's just like, when has comedy gone too far? Is that too far? Or I mean, like, we all have our own different standards as to what's too far. Do you, Darren Carter, the party starter, ever like just say, you know what, this is a little bit too much? I mean, I understand there's a little bit too much for this crowd, but do you ever tell yourself, this joke is hysterical, but I can't say it?
Yeah, probably. And for me personally, I probably put those out of my mind, where I'm like, I look at the end game. I'm like, well, where am I going to do it? How am I going to do it? I'm like, nah. Or I'll figure out a way to do it. I'll figure out a way to do it. But usually I don't really live in that world anyways, like comedically or personally. So I try not to, I don't want to fake the funk or be something I'm not, just to be like, I'm going to start getting dangerous now. It's like, I'm like, it's like, and I find that this is something I was working on in the last, like, I don't know, 10 years. Like, if I kind of let the world, like when I'm on stage, laugh at a certain like fun stuff, not getting too dirty, not getting too crazy with the language, then they'll go on a journey with me on stuff that's a little bit more clean and wholesome. But if I go too raunchy and dirty, and then I try to do the wholesome type stuff, it doesn't seem as funny, or it just doesn't hit the same way. So,
So this is a question I ask a lot of
comedians. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. You go ahead.
I was going to say that, which I don't know how funny. I mean, the word wholesome is kind of what it is, but I don't want it to sound. I don't know if I would go see a comedian because they're wholesome and be like, it's like, I got to find some better descriptions,
Darren Carter, seriously, the wholesome starter.
Yeah, if you're seeing one room, like if there's 2 rooms and you have $20 to spend, in one comedy room, it's like the wholesome comedy, it's like, or the dangerous comedy. I mean, I'm going to go to the dangerous room. That's the room that, you know what I mean? Just,
yeah, absolutely.
So but at the same time, I don't want to like, just,
No, because every dirty comic, and like, you could turn it on and you could turn it off. Yeah, because it's just like one of those things. It's just like, I'm labeled a dirty comic because I'm just like, I don't care what anyone thinks about me. They already have their own opinions about me as soon as I walk on stage, because I'm not beautiful, I'm not skinny, and quite frankly, I'm a big, angry looking Mexican dude. So like, it says like, sometimes audience are like, oh shit, what the fuck's he gonna talk about? Or like, sometimes they don't believe when I'm telling stories about having sex with my wife. First of all, they don't believe I'm married, they don't believe I'm having sex, and then they don't believe that I'm kinky. And it's just like, wait a minute, hold up a second, those are 3 things that I need you to believe in order for you to get down with the story. But the further I go with the story, that, you know what I mean? It's just like, so it's like, it's a different road for different people, and it's just like, of course you're going to read a room. It's just so I would ask you, as a like, you're a veteran comic, you're a professional comic, do you have any advice for writing clean comedy?
you know what? I guess the way that I would do it is I always ask myself, like how's the cleanest way I can get the same message and the same laugh. Sometimes I'll be in the moment on stage and I'll curse still. Like even last night, there was a guy, the way he was positioned. I'm at the Laugh Factory this week as we're recording. I'm up at the Silver Legacy in Reno, but there was a guy who had kind of positioned his body kind of like, he was just relaxing. But in my mind, I sort of had this idea, like, and I said this on stage, I go, look at this guy, he's like, if this motherfucker says one more joke I don't like, I'm leaving, like, I go, your body's pivoted. You're like facing you're halfway out the door. Now, that's the way it came out. If this motherfucker, but if I were to write it, I wouldn't say motherfucker. I'd be like, if this, you know what I mean? I would.
Sorry, I'm not trying to get the dirty out of you. I'm not like trying to hey, I'm a dirty ass dude. Hey, let's get the dirty out of Darren. Hey, Darren. Hey, I know you're a wholesome comic and you're a family comedian and you're a corporate comedian. You're a professional headliner. But guess what? Let's get the motherfuckers out of you. No, it's not like that. It's not like I seriously love to celebrate my guests.
Thank you.
So it's just
that's what I'm saying. Like in the moment, I said, if this mother, I said it, but if I were to write it, like, let's say I knew that moment was going to come up, I would probably change it. Like if this fella says one more or whatever, and I know.
But you were in the moment. You were in the moment. I was in the moment. You were in the moment.
Sometimes
No. Say what you were going to say about being in the moment, because
like in the moment, I might still curse. You know what I mean? But if I have to go the extra step and be like, what can I say that's not like, I found I can still get a laugh. Like, speaking of, I like my women, and the way I came up with that,
we didn't even get to that. We didn't even get to that. Yeah.
But the way I came up with that is about 20 years ago. I was on stage at the Punchline in Sacramento, and I had written like 3 of them. There's the base one, which is everyone knows is coffee, right? I like my coffee, and then you have your punchline. So one day I wrote like 3, and then I was bored on stage because I'd been kind of, I had like I said those 3 for a long time. And then one day I go, you guys yell out something. And then they started yelling, and I was like, oh, I got a good knack for this. So then I hit them with the beat. I like my women like I like my, and they'd be like, dog, begging for a bone. I like my women, right? And so even now, like if people say something and I know I can go dirty, it's almost funnier if I don't go dirty. Like if they say, like this happened last night, hair, they'll go hair, because they see a bald man on stage. So like, I like my women like I like mine. They'll go hair. Now, in my mind, I want to say on my dick.
I'm gonna spit out my water
all over the computer.
I almost fucked up this interview.
But what I'll say is I know it's almost going to be funnier if I can say I like my woman like I like my hair. If I say like in my pants or on my junk, like that, where it's still funny. They know what you're saying, but I don't have to say it.
So you're saying it without saying it, but you're saying it with other words. You're just like, you're layering it. Okay. So because like, no, here's the trick, because I did a clean show and everyone's like, no, you didn't. We know you. We know you. You talk about choking out your wife on stage. We know you didn't, and cocaine and snorting Viagras and whatever the fuck. So it's just like, we know you didn't do that. We know you didn't have a clean set. What did you talk about? You didn't talk about cocaine for 15 minutes. I'm like, I talked about getting detained by TSA. I talked about getting pulled over by the cops. I talked about all these other things, doing my first gay show, which is technically clean if you don't disparage anybody. So, and then I asked the producer, I was like, can I say I look like a proud Samoan lesbian woman with a beard? Is that cool? And then she said, yes. And she's a lesbian. And I was going to say, she's also a lesbian. Like I'm a lesbian too. But anyway, I was just like, can I say that on the Zoom show? She's like, oh, of course. I just don't want you saying, suck my dick, or that guy's a bitch, or the F word, and not fuck, but the homophobic F word. And I'm like, fat? I can't say fat because that's the F word that the LGBT does not like to be called fat. I'm just messing around. No, So I had some questions for you like that are like very specific to you. And well, actually, first of all, we never got to it because we went on a tangent, but like, gentlemen, Darren Carter. Okay, so I legitimately asked the comedy club to check me out. I got to these jokes, and I thought like I was originally, because I've seen you 3 times prior to this, and one of them was live in the main room at the Comedy Store. And so I was like, I've seen this dude live. I've seen him on Local Comedy Slam, and I've seen him on another Showtime like thing or Comedy Central thing. I've seen him. And he has not done I Like My Women. I know that for a fact. I've seen him 3 fucking times. But then again, I'm an idiot. And I'm like, like 5 months into comedy or a year in a comedy or 2 years in comedy or something like that. And of course, they're like, oh, well, there's this man named Darren Carter who does the I Like My Women jokes. And so I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to message that man right now, because I don't want this man to ever learn that there's some fat Mexican guy in the Bay Area stealing his shit. So I messaged you almost immediately. Like as soon as I found it was like on a Wednesday, I hit you up on a Thursday. And it was like one of those things where it was just like, and I tried to add you as a friend. There was like 5,000 maximum. You can't add him as a friend. And I'm just like, fuck. So I sent you a message, because if I add you as a friend and then I send you a message, you'll get the message. But if we're not friends, I send you a message to go to the other mailbox. So that's why I try to add you. And then so I don't know, you got that message. It was probably like Victor Pacheco was trying to send you a message. You're like, who the fuck is this guy? So then I asked you, I was just like, hey, bro, I got all these. I was like, can you please just watch the first 2 minutes of this video with I Like My Women jokes and just tell me, like, am I biting your stuff? And then you replied like a gentleman. You're just like, listen, you got funny stuff, but nah, bro. Like, listen, like it's okay. Like, I already do this bit, but and here's a music video of me, and it was so classic. It was like, I like my women like my shoes, no shoelaces attached. And it was so fucked up because like I had never heard you say that. And I had a joke with I'm not very similar, with the exact premise, not ever having heard that joke. I didn't believe in parallel thinking until this happened, like 2 years into comedy. I'm just like, because I never heard you say those jokes and I knew who you were.
It's wild, man. It's like, that's one of my nightmares that like you could, but listen, as comedians, it can happen, Yeah. When the word ginger came out, right? Like we started hearing ginger, like on South Park and just different, like for redheads, they started becoming part of the lexicon. Like, I guess it was already popular in Australia and England, but later calling the redheads, they call him the gingers. He's a ginger, right? And at that time, it was all new to me. And this is before I shaved my head, and I write these jokes about gingers. And then I remember writing it. I even had an album called That Ginger's Crazy.
Dude, that's a nod to Richard Pryor.
Right. And the big punchline and the big joke of that is like, because like if you rearrange the word ginger, it kind of looks like the N-word and blah blah blah.
Definitely.
And so I wrote all this stuff, like where I had this guy like where he pretends he's like an English guy that's like he's been bullied, where he's like, that's right, they called me ginger, I was with me girl, they called her whatever, any word, and I just by the way, that's a dangerous, edgy bit I would never do anymore. But back at the time, I was like, it was cute and funny, I'm clever, it's Genji, she called me a whatever.
And well, also that's a good British accent, so you're not fucking around. And also, for the record, when I saw you on the Latino showcase, where I'm just like, who's this white boy?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, as a non-comic, as a comic, I view every special differently now. I'm like, was this all shot in one show, or how many shows was this?
Right. But and then like I wrote this whole ginger bit, and then I even did it on a special called That Ginger's Crazy that came out in 2010. And turns out there was a really big comedian in England that also had a ginger thing, but he did a guitar song, and it was about the, rearrange the letters in ginger, it's like the end. And I was like, oh my God, like this is like, yeah.
That's a nightmare. That's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare. It wasn't exactly, but it was close enough where I did not feel comfortable. I was like, damn,
Like, so all the ginger material is just burnt. It's just gone. That's how I felt with I Like My Women jokes, because I had some fucking hilarious I Like My Women jokes, and I sent them to you, and I was like, hey, listen, Darren, I don't know you, but if you like any of these jokes, just keep them, because I am retiring all my I Like My Women jokes, because I don't want anyone to fucking say I am fucking like the dude. Like, it was a very early lesson early on where I was just like, okay, this dude's hilarious, and I already knew who you were. So like, there's a comedian named Darren Carter, the party starter, and I was just like,
Yeah, I know who he is. I just saw him at the Comedy Store. I saw him on the Loco Comedy Slam. I've seen him on Comedy Central. Like, I know him. He's cool. He's even been on BET. I know who he is.
Yeah.
I know who he is. He's a bad motherfucker. I'm not biting his shit. And then, of course, when I got the music video where it was just, I am biting your shit, because we had the same exact premise. Like your version, which obviously you came out with first, because you've been doing comedy like longer than me. You're like, I like my women like I like my shoes with no strings attached. And then my version's like, I like my women like I like my shoes, capable of supporting a 400-pound Mexican. And it's just like, I never heard your jokes, because I would have never stolen that in a million years, because the one thing, even before I started stand-up, the one thing that stopped me from doing stand-up for so many years was like, I was scared that people were going to steal my material. I was so scared. And I'm like, so scared. People and people have stolen my material. And it wasn't the fat Mexican guy stuff. It was the political stuff. And so I retired it. I retired it because I was like, you know what? I don't want to be a political comedian. I'm not doing that shit no more. The second, and it was like as soon as Trump got initiated into, or when he got elected, I was just like, okay, I'm not doing any more political shit. It's too polarizing. I'm okay. And then some dude who's like a lot more popular than me, he took my exact joke, and it wasn't parallel thinking. And I was just like, okay, what's fucked up is that, like, you know, if you call out somebody for joke stealing, then all of a sudden you look like a jealous asshole. So that's why I hit you up as soon as I found out that's like, oh yeah, you're kind of biting his material. I was like, kind of biting. I've seen him 3 times. He's never said I like women like I like. And I've seen like a total of at least 45 minutes worth of Darren Carter. And it's just like it was one of those things that it wasn't like I was upset. It was just more like I was just shocked and genuinely like, oh my God, do you really think I stole from him? Because it was just parallel thinking, because I do like women, and you like women too, you know. And so it's just like, that's how I like women. Like, you know, it's like, I remember once I was doing a show, it was a talent show, and it was just like, I said, I like my women like I like mosquitoes. Oh no, I'm sorry. I like my women like I like sunglasses made in China and sitting on my face. And the crowd went wild for like a minute and a half. I couldn't even do a joke. I had to wait a minute and a half on stage, because every time I tried to breathe into the microphone and say something else, they just started laughing. And then I went to the comedy club and I asked them to check me out. And I was like, oh, I can't do that anymore. And then, like, so I told you, I was just like, if you like any of these jokes, keep them. Like, seriously, I told you that. I don't even know you. I was just like, keep these jokes if you like them. I'm not trying to be a dick about it, but if you like your women like you like mosquitoes sucking you dry while you sleep, you fucking say that, and you fucking take credit for it. I will fucking not be your ghostwriter. I will never ever tell anybody. It was one of those things where it was just like, I was just like, oh, people think I'm stealing jokes from you. I'm actually not. I'm actually, okay, from right now, this moment forward, I'm retiring all my I like my women jokes. And Darren, if you want any of these, you can have them. And then you can have them, like, seriously. And then of course somebody on Reddit put I like my women like Reddit, and then everybody's put in what they like. And one of the top ones was made in China and sitting on my face. And I'm just like, I didn't steal that from Reddit. I said it way before Reddit.
Right.
2 years before. And so it's like, you got to record every single set that you do in order to prove that you're not a fucking hack. And it's just like, I'm like, I swear to God. And then, like, because I vividly remember the backpack scene and how you're walking. And I'm just like, this guy is hilarious. Hilarious.
You know, also I find that anytime you start getting out in those waters of like not personal material, you know, there could be some overlap where other people could think of the same thing. If it's topical, like I said, political, I like, you know, like, that's why I really like to do stuff that, you know, interactions I have with my wife, like some kind of real moment or some kind of conversation or something with my son. Cause I feel like that's going to be like less people also coming up with the same idea. You know what I mean? And also you can't think about it too much. You just got to keep moving forward, keep writing jokes, keep making the world laugh, keep working on your act, and just move it forward, and then move on to the next thing. And just, you know, otherwise you know, you'll always be paranoid that you're either being stolen from, or just
Yeah,
get out there and just do it, you know?
dude, absolutely. No. Dude, me finding out that I was, quote, biting your stuff, end quote. That really was like eye-opening. I hit you up the next day. We could even go through the messages. Like, I hit you up the next day, and I was just, or maybe it might have been 2 days, and I was just like, in disbelief. But it was that same week I hit you up, and I was just like in disbelief. And then you sent me that you were a gentleman. That was the thing that like really like I was like, oh shit. Like, because I knew who you were. Like, I was like, this guy's hilarious. I'm like, I'm not biting his shit because I've never heard him say I like my women. Like I saw you in the main room when I was doing a show in the belly room, and I saw you from like the downstairs part before you go to the belly room at the Comedy Store in Hollywood. And so I was watching, and dude, for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, you did not say I like my women jokes. And then like there was another one, another 2 versions where I seen you on stage, you did not say them. And then so when this comedy club told me that, I was just like, do you guys think I'm a hack? I know who Darren Carter is. It's just like he doesn't know who I am because like I'm a beginner comic. So I don't know what's going on, you know? It's just like one of those things where I just want to make sure that I am genuine with who I am, because I do like my women sucking me dry when I sleep, like mosquitoes. I really do.
This is awesome, man, that you have me on your podcast. Let me ask you, how many episodes are you at?
This is episode 28.
That's cool. Feels good, right?
Yeah, it feels good. I didn't start having guests until episode 9. And it was just like, I'm trying to just interview professionals who I respect the fuck out of and I love. And so I know you're on a time schedule here, and so I want to be respectful of your time. And so let me just ask you a couple more questions.
Okay, cool.
You have a bunch of material, and as somebody who has just started getting booked for the headliner position, we're doing 45 to 60 minutes. What would you say would be the best way to write a new hour, and how often should you write a new hour?
I feel like there was a lot of when Louis C.K. was putting out those hours, and Bill Burr, a lot of these guys were I feel like there was pressure on comedians that were like not at that level to like keep churning and burning and putting out material. And I was guilty of it. I put out an album my first album came out in 2000. I recorded it in 99, and it came out in 2000. And then I didn't even record another comedy album until 2010. 10 years went by, because in those 10 years, I was in, I was in some movies, some TV shows. I was focusing on live performance.
Be Cool.
Yeah, Be
I
Cool,
forgot.
John Travolta.
I didn't even mention it.
Oh,
It was just like you have I'm like, for me as a comedian, I'm like, all those accolades are from stand-up comedy, and you're like, Be Cool with John Travolta. And I'm like,
no, it's all good though.
And that's how humble you are. It's just like, if it comes up, it comes up. You know? If it comes up.
But I just feel like at that time I was, like 10 years went by, because I didn't. And also what added to that was around 2007, 2008, SiriusXM kind of upped everything and started playing my album. And then I signed on with this thing called Sound Exchange. I started getting royalties, because before that I was only making money off the album if I sold it at a show. Once you start making royalties, you're like, dang, like maybe I should put out more albums. That way I'll get more money coming in and get my name out there and entertain people audio wise on radio stations and stuff, like in parts of the world I'm not even in. So then in 2010, I put out another album. And then I started getting into that hamster mode on the wheel of like 2014, I put out an album. 2016, I put out an album. And it was just like, boom, boom, boom. Let me work on the net. And then of course the pandemic hit, and now everything is kind of shifted toward putting clips out online, getting them on YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels.
I don't mean to laugh, but it's just like, that's where I'm at right now. That's where we're all at right now. It's
right.
It's horrible, because like I even see like I don't know, like A-listers who put out funny clips.
Yeah,
they got like 3,000 likes on a clip, and then I see some like, I don't know who the fuck this is, and they got like 20,000 likes or 132,000 likes, and I'm just like, I didn't laugh one fucking time. They're just handsome or beautiful or whatever the fuck. And like, I'm not trying to sound like a hater. It's just like,
but it's just what it is. And it's like, so when back to your question of, I don't know if you necessarily have to burn material and come up with a new 45 to an hour. A lot of clubs, like in Vegas, they only want you to do 35 minutes, and same thing in Reno. The guy's like, yeah, I do like 35, 40.
As a headliner.
As a headliner, there are some places that want you to do 45, 50 somewhere. And it's good to have more material in case like the machine breaks down, the waitresses takes them a long time. So it is good to have it, but I also feel like with people's attention span, are they really wanting to watch a whole hour of people? I don't know, but
the attention span though, but like I've seen you, and then I've seen recent clips of you, and then even like pandemic clips of you, and it's just like you're touring La Jolla Comedy Store, and it's just like you're talking about how you became a regular, and I'm just like, dude, these vlogs are fucking sick.
Thank you.
I'm like, dude, this is awesome. This is like, dude, people need to know this shit. And it's just like, I'm not a regular at the Comedy Store, so it's just like to hear your progress, and it's just like, oh yeah, well, I used to work the door, and I used to work the bar back, and then Mitzi Shore saw me, and it's just like, I'm like, fuck, that's fucking cool. How's this guy? I hope he shows up for my podcast. Because it's like that's special.
Thanks for having me on.
No, dude. It's just like I really think that's awesome. That it's just like it's like from Fresno, and then I don't know what landed you in La Jolla, but whatever happened is in the cards. And I was like wondering, like, what was your exact, because like you're paid regular at the world famous Comedy Store. And that is without a doubt like one of the biggest benchmarks as a comedian you can make. That's even better than a special in some cases. Like even if it's like
Thank you. Knock on wood, they'll keep having me. They've been letting me close the shows in the main room at the Hollywood Comedy Store main room Saturday nights, Friday nights. That's a big deal. And I have an attitude of gratitude toward it. I'll never take any of that stuff for granted.
That's the Brody Spot now. It used to be the Kinison Spot, but now it's the Brody Spot, right?
They really like me in that spot, and I guess they like the positive energy and ending the night on a high note and a fun kind of vibe.
It's hard to go last, especially when you're up that late. And I've never done the Comedy Store that late, but like I do this burlesque / comedy show like every second and fourth Tuesday at Harvelle's in Long Beach. If you ever want a spot, let me know. I'll get you on there. Like, cool. No questions asked. If on any Tuesday, even if I'm not on it, because it's every Tuesday. But no, it's a good spot, and I'll hook you up. It's Harvelle's in Long Beach, and they're really fucking cool. And the fact of the matter is, it's a burlesque show. I told some of my buddies who do the show too, I'm just like, hey, we're fucking lunatics and insane for trying to think that we could upstage burlesque dancers at a burlesque house on a burlesque / comedy show. We're fucking insane, right? We're insane. Yeah. It's like, I'm not a hot chick. I got boobs, but they ain't sexy. And you know what I mean? And so it's just like, I just want to do the best set possible. But it's like, all right, you're closing out the show. It's at 12:37 p.m. And I'm just like, the show started on Tuesday at 8 p.m. and it is now 12:37 on Wednesday. Okay, cool. A third of the audience already left. Fuck it. Cool. Let's close this shit out. Let's be champions, because that's the thing that people don't understand about closing out shows or headlining shows, however you want to look at it. Sometimes the audience leaves because of the other comics. Sometimes the audience leaves because they're tired. Sometimes the audience leaves because they think they want to talk to this comedian or whatever. And it's just like one of those things. It's just like having the closer spot, having that Brody Spot, that Kinison Spot at the Comedy Store. That's just like, wow, they trust you. They trust you. They're like, this man is going to deliver. And so it's just like, I've always thought it was so cool. I was just like, man, and then also you, like I said, you could have been a jerk about it. You could have been like, hey, dude, you're biting my shit, and you could back the fuck off, or I'll make your life miserable. And it's just like, no, you were a gentleman. And I'm not talking about that's your personality. I'm talking about just comedians in general. It's just like, we're just sharks. We're just sharks, and there's a lot of unstable sharks. But you were a very stable shark, and it was just like, no, bro, no. Let me just tell you, it's okay. And so, I don't know, like the process for writing an hour is just like, I'm working on my first hour. And so like I did an hour. That doesn't mean I have an hour. That means I did an hour and I got fans about it, but it's just like, it's not like.
The one thing I've learned is the ebb and flow with my energy. Like I try, people think I'm a high energy comic, and I am at times, but I also learned how to like bring it back and just even let it be quiet for a while, and then kind of do the setups and just kind of conversational, and then I know in the back of my mind I'm going to go crazy in a little bit, so it's all right. You know what I mean? As opposed to 20 years ago, I was trying to be like bang, bang, bang the whole time, bang, 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 just and I think people get a little burnout on that, but that's just taking experience and lots of time on stage.
Well, yeah, I mean, but also
I
you just
found.
mentioned the silence, and that's the thing that new comics don't understand. The silence is golden. Like you being confident in by you, I mean universally, not just you, Darren Carter, but the comedian being on stage, because you're vulnerable when you're just silent up there, and people laugh.
It's a little harder to be silent. Also, I would say like at 12:37 at night at a Harvelle's burlesque place. Because you know what I mean? I feel like if you're silent, some drunks and be like, and it's like, so it's harder because then you feel like they're gonna jump in there. If I'm quiet, they're gonna jump in and heckle me or just try to help out. And it's like,
yeah, I love the air quotes, help out. For the record, for those listening just audio, that is the air quotes, help out. And I hate audience members that quote help out. You're not helping the show. You're just helping your ego to be the center of attention when we're out there trying to be funny. And like bottom line, no matter what, because like, you go to open mics and sometimes it's just like, you see people, it's just like, okay, they have no jokes or joke structures. They're just using this as therapy and it's not going good. And it's just like, there's other times where you're just like, trying out material that you're going to use for a show, and you're hell bent on, yes, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to rehearse this in the same way I'm going to deliver this at the show. And that's the problem that a lot of people have, is that, if you practice like shit, you're going to perform like shit. So you need to practice like it's a show. You need to treat it like it's a show. And so I guess this is leading on to my next question. I got 2 more questions and then we're done.
Okay.
Yeah, because I want to be respectful of your time. But this is a really important question, with mental health, with comedians, and everything, the way things are going. I like to ask this question because there's a lot of different answers, and I love to hear everybody's wisdom, because everybody has their own path, their own journey. But let me ask you a question. If a comedian is super depressed or is super stressed out and going through a ton of stuff, and they have an obligation because they have a show that night, what is your best advice for that comedian?
I would say maybe don't be prepared the best that you can be leading up. So when that moment hits, it's not like, like something you haven't dealt with before. Like try to almost like in a mental way, like, and I haven't done my push-ups yet, but I honestly, man, once I started doing like push-ups, sit-ups, something physical, to get my body to where I want it to be, to where I'm feeling good, mentally, praying, for me, it helps. I heard this comedian talk about how he says 2 prayers before he goes on stage. And it's funny. I was able to accept and listen to that where I'm at in my life. 20 years ago, I wouldn't know that people pray, but I was like, okay, are they doing it just for show? Is it trying to be like, all right, it used to be pretty funny when we'd all be backstage at a theater. Every now and then I would do an urban show, right? Mostly I'd be the only white guy on the show, and everybody would be holding hands saying a prayer, and I'd be like, this is kind of weird, but okay.
I've done those too. I've done those too, Darren. I've done those too.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I've done those too. Yeah. No, you got to be in the moment. You got to be in the moment again. And it's just,
exactly.
Yeah, you got to hold hands. If you don't hold hands, you're a fucking asshole, and you're going to hell. You got to hold hands. You got to hold hands. And this is pre-COVID, during COVID, post-COVID. You got to hold fucking hands. If you don't hold fucking hands, you're an asshole.
Yeah, and then the show would start, and I'd be on these urban shows, and they'd be like, "You ever get your dick sucked?" And you're just like, "Whoa, we were just backstage.
we were praying. We're praying to Jesus Christ to be okay." And now you're talking about getting your dick
Y'all
sucked.
need to beat your kids. No, whatever.
Damn, that was an urban show as fuck. Okay, listen, Darren, if you didn't fuck a stool, I'm very disappointed. I'm just gonna no, it's so funny. No, because one time I fucked a stool at an urban the crowd went crazy. I didn't even know you could fuck a stool and the crowd will go crazy, because I was like pretending for it to be my wife, and the crowd was like, what?
Dude, that's what I was thinking. There's no rules. Like there's comedians that are like anti-fucking a stool. They're like, it's so hacky. But then I guarantee you, there's going to be a comedian within the last 30 days or the next 30 days. You'll see them on TikTok, Instagram, somewhere doing something like that. And they're going to be getting lots of views, lots of laughs. And we're going to be sitting there with our like 3 likes going, no, that guy's a loser. He's a hack. I don't do that. Who cares? Just go for it, man. Whatever you think is funny as a comedian, your job is to bring joy, I guess, right?
Yes. Yes.
Anyways, so my point is try to get your mental health. Try to do your physical fitness, drink your waters. You know what I'm saying? Like have attitude of gratitude, because you don't want to be that comedian that's like been doing it for 3 years and you're already miserable, and then you cut to 10 years down there. I mean, you just got to be, you know what I mean? I get excited by the little things in life. It's still, like, wow, I'm in a nice hotel. Wow, I love that kind of stuff where you just get excited about the little things to kind of keep yourself happy and almost like living in like delusion in a sense,
No, it's not though,
Yeah.
because it's like
Yeah.
that gig that you have right now in Reno is legit as fuck, because I accidentally got a guest spot at the Laugh Factory inside the Silver Legacy, and it was golden. It was I should have not gotten a fucking guest spot, but they gave me a guest spot because the host and the feature both vouched for me. And so it's just like, that is a great gig. That's awesome. And you deserve it, because like, quite frankly,
I have to remind myself though, even when these gigs aren't this awesome, like define what is awesome about it. During COVID, we did an outdoor show in front of a barn on a farm. And it was actually, I didn't look at it like, oh, I'm not at the Comedy Store right now or the Laugh Factory. I don't look at it like that. I'm like, this is exciting. This is an adventure. We're doing Freedom on the Farm comedy. Where it's like, I vlogged it and I filmed all the stuff. I threw like there's a tire swing and kids were playing football before the show, and it was awesome. You know what I mean? You take those little moments of like, how can I embrace this and just. Okay, I almost got to go. So what's the next question?
Absolutely. No, the last question was, where can the people at home find you?
Go to YouTube. I'm all over. Go to YouTube, search my name, Darren Carter, and subscribe to my channel. I put up videos every single day. Darren Carter, Darren. That's the best place. If you like podcasts, which I know you do, you're listening to this one. It's on Apple, Spotify. It's called Pocket Party Podcast.
Party Podcast. We're going to link that in the summary of this episode to make sure that everybody follows you.
I got a question. How do you make your background blurry?
You go to video. So funny. You go to that's so funny. You go
blur my background.
Stop video. It's just choose your virtual background.
Oh, dude, I just blurred my background.
Yeah, there we go. That's so funny. This is why I released the YouTube version with the video, because sometimes people don't get to capture the
That's
magic.
funny.
Yeah,
so I was like, should I clean my hotel room? I didn't know. I just
no. It didn't matter. It was the only thing that mattered was I got the star. I got Darren Carter, the party starter, to come through and share a lot of wisdom with me, and I do appreciate it, because you know what? From the moment I contacted you. And that was years ago, just to be like, hey, dude, I'm not biting your shit, but I'm retiring this stuff. And
dude, and I appreciate that, man.
And like, I was like, and you're like, which comedy club was it that called you out about it? And it was like a comedy club that you were going to be at like 2 months or a month later. And it was Roosters in the bed.
And Feathers. Hey, they're open again. I heard that they're open again.
I think they're open again, but it was just like one of those things where we're just like, oh yeah, that's my stuff. Let me send you a clip really quick. And then you sent me that clip and I was like, I need to back the fuck off, because no one's going to believe that I came up with this. Everyone's going to think that I bit Darren Carter's material.
Listen, there's like a few other people that have tried something like that. Like there's a guy down in LA or San Diego or something. Every now and then people will send me these clips and they're like, hey, have you seen this thing? This guy's trying to do your thing and blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. I just have an attitude of like, whatever, to each their own. Like, I always look at it like mistakes happen. It's I know what it feels like. So
Some of it seems like it's mistake, and some of it seems like the comedy club legitimately thought I was like conspiring to steal your material, and I was just, and that's what was offensive, because I was like, I've seen him 3 different times doing 3 different sets, and he did not say I like my women like I like blank. He did not say that. Okay. He was talking about being a dad. He was talking about being a husband. He was talking about all this other stuff other than how he likes his women. Okay. So, or he was talking about how he was being bullied as a kid in Fresno. And I remember that because I couldn't remember if it was Fresno or Bakersfield, because like, what's the difference? And then
the funny thing I do now is like, I'll do like 3 or 4 of them. I like my women like I like, and people yell out whatever they yell out. And then I'll stop and I'll be like, guys, I've been married for 25 years. This is all bullshit. Which is funny because
it is funny. It is funny. And you're like, this is bullshit. It's just like, but that's the thing though. That's like behind the curtain. It's just like, oh, cool. Darren's being beyond honest right now. And that's what makes
perfect. Because if they yell out car, because then I'll do a callback to that. Because sometimes people yell out the car. And I'll be like, the same one for 25 years. And I'll be like, I have the 1997 model. You know, whatever.
That's so fucking funny. But I again.
But thank you for having me on.
No,
man.
Thank you so much for doing my podcast. I really appreciate you. I'm gonna put on all of your social medias, your website,
thank you,
everything, so people can follow you. Make sure to follow the Pocket Party Podcast. Be sure to follow Darren Carter and go to all of his shows. Like seriously, he's around the country all the time, so he'll be in your neck of the woods. And if not, request him at your comedy club. Don't be a dick. You know what I mean?
All right, Victor.
Thank you so much, Darren. Thank you so
Thanks
much, man. You're the best, man. Thank you so much for doing my podcast. I love you. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you so much, and have a good day. Peace.
Thanks for listening. Subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, do your boy a favor. Tell your friends, tell your cool family members, tell your cool coworkers. Let them know about the podcast, and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and be sure to follow me on all social media, Puro Papi Pacheco, and check out my website at HispanicTitanic.com for future dates. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a great day.